me when you're ready for me to start.
Yeah, I would, Ed Powell is not on yet, and he called me, and when I called him back, he didn't answer. So I'm suspecting he might have some
Technical
difficulty signing on. I'll try to call him again. You know what you could do, Mark, is you could go ahead and just remind people who might not be super familiar with how we're operating, just some of the quick rules of thumb.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Moss. I'm helping you guys run this meeting and stream it at the same time. Just so everybody knows, there are currently 16 people watching this on YouTube. Wow. I just dropped to 15. Somebody just 14. People are dropping like 12. So you have a couple of functions in your on your computers, your tablets, whatever. You can mute yourselves. Please do that if you're not speaking, to eliminate background noise and other sounds that are going on, which make it very difficult for everybody to hear whoever is speaking. You also, if you have the participants open on the right side, you'll see on the bottom a little icon that looks like a megaphone. Clicking on that should let you should see a raise hand function. If you'd like to speak, the raise hand function is the way to do that. And everybody can see who would like to speak at that point. We can unmute people, or whoever's speaking at that point, presenter, chair, will call on somebody. You can unmute yourself at that point. You also have to lower your hand at that point so that we don't keep calling on you. Sorry, somebody asked something. Okay. Any quick questions? Don't forget to unmute yourself if you're going to ask one.
Yes, I didn't hear the, Joel Seeley, I didn't hear what's the symbol for raising your hand?
Thank you. I was going to ask the same thing.
If you do not have a list of participants up on the right side, click on the little, move your cursor down to the bottom. You'll see the little picture that looks like a person with 3 lines next to it.
3 lines through?
A little person. It should be right about the middle icon across the bottom.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you
Click
go.
on that. You should see the list of participants. On the bottom of that screen, you should see something that looks a little bit like a megaphone. You have to make it larger, but a little bit like a megaphone. All the way on the bottom.
No, I don't see it.
Mm-mm.
All right. Click on those. It's not there. Everybody's devices are different, which makes this different.
I'll just keep my mouth closed. Oh, I see it next to mine. It's next to you. Okay, got it. Thank you.
And Mark, we do have Ed Powell on. I just want to make sure we can hear Ed.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
We have Ed Powell. We have Ed Powell on, and we have quorum.
Okay, so for everybody, I'm gonna put the audio on the live stream and bring the video up. Right now, it's just a banner. So remember, you're not only on this meeting, but there are 29 people watching you on YouTube. Here we go. We're going live.
Welcome to WebEx. Enter your access code or meeting number followed by pound.
Hello?
Enter your attendee ID number followed by pound. You do not know your attendee number.
Ready when you are.
Ed, do you want to go ahead and call the meeting to order? But everybody just put yourselves on mute.
I'm hearing a lot of static and background noise there.
Right. If you're not Ed, If you're not Ed, please mute yourself. Ann, you're not muted. Barden, you're not muted.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to mute. The microphone's off.
Now you're muted. There you go.
This April meeting of Community Board 14 is called to order on Tuesday, May 19th at 5:36 p.m. under the applicable statutes of New York State, the Charter of the City of New York, Executive Order 202.1, the Board bylaws, and Robert's Rules of Order. Today, attendance will be taken by accounting for those signed into this meeting, and a roll call vote will not be needed. The Brooklyn Borough President's Office informed Brooklyn Community Boards on April 22nd that boards are responsible for meeting the New York City Charter requirement to meet every month from September through June, conditions imposed due to the COVID-19 pandemic notwithstanding. However, that information was not timely enough given that community boards had just been given the WebEx platform and had not yet been trained. Therefore, we're going to gavel in to get an April meeting in the books, and then immediately open the main adjournment of this proceeding in order to business. So at this time, I have a motion to move all business to the May meeting.
Mr. Chairman, this is Stephen Owen. I move to table all business of CB14's April meeting to the May agenda and to adjourn this April meeting.
Hold on one second. Somebody seems to have two devices on, which is causing an echo. We only have one device with audio. Go ahead, Ed, I'm sorry.
All right, this is Gail Smith. I second.
Brian Nirenberg, third.
Okay, although opposed. A lot of background. Anyone who's not here,
Until you take a nap. Until you take a nap.
I just wanted to know it's not you. That's not.
What time is your meeting?
Okay, board members, please mute your phone. Computer, whatever you're using. Okay. Again, all those all those opposed to that motion, please indicate that by saying yay or nay.
Everybody's muted right now. Can I suggest if you are opposed, unmute yourself.
Ed, go ahead and ask for those in favor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned. And we will.
It's Common Jaeger. Ask for the nays. Just ask for the nays and wait 5 seconds.
Okay. Any nays? Great.
Ask for abstentions.
Are there any abstentions?
Now declare it passed and adjourn the meeting.
The motion passes. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
There are two people with their hands raised. Howard.
There are two people with your hands raised.
Howard.
If you have your hands raised, unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, I have my hands raised.
HP. Who is HP?
State your name, please.
I can't, it's all I want to answer, I can't get the hand down. It's Naomi, I can't get my hand down. I haven't got a question.
Okay.
So there's not actually a question on the table, and if you want to go ahead and open up the main meeting now.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, the main meeting of the Community Board is called to order on Tuesday, May 19th, 2022. Executive Order 2021.1, the board's bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order. Circumstances, we're meeting virtually on WebEx. And I'd like to thank Mark Moss from her studios for facilitating this meeting, and the Community Board 14 staff for coordinating, the board members, elected officials, and the community members, and all of you who are attending this meeting. Thank you. As the first order of business, we need to approve the March minutes. Members of the board received a copy of the minutes from the March meeting via email, and I believe they were received on April 14th. Is that correct, District Manager?
They were distributed on May 14th, and then again today, this afternoon.
On May 14th, okay. And members have had a chance to review those minutes, so are there any questions or corrections from board members?
Chairman Powell, this is Steve Cohen. I'd like to submit a motion to approve the March minutes.
Mr. Chairman, this is Gail Smith. I second the motion.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the March minutes. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The minutes are approved. District Manager Sean Campbell.
Hello, everybody. So nice to kind of sort of almost see you. I just quickly want to begin by thanking my staff, Anya and Irina, who've been really stalwart through challenging times. And I want to acknowledge Anya's work in keeping our website up to date, which is even more than a once-a-day task. She worked with Jonathan Judge, who we were able to contract with on very short notice to upgrade our website. So thank you to her for that extra work, and to John Judge for the quick turnaround on that, and just quickly coming to the plate. On our service delivery, a lot of it is the same, but very much of it is very different. We're still handling regular complaints and concerns, DOB, DOT, sanitation, but of course, many requests are new and were just a short time ago pretty unimaginable. Assisting their food pantries and testing sites. We've got a new one in the district on Coney Island Avenue, and then, requests from funeral homes as well. We're trying to assist anybody who's doing something good and necessary for the community with as little red tape as possible. And it's amazing to see the community members who've come to fill in gaps and distributed food, especially Copo, Dovey Zeitlin, and Masbia, to make sure that there's halal and kosher meals available to families. And a lot of our businesses have gotten very creative. So I want to thank the elected officials, too, for staying in touch and being supportive where we've needed them. We do receive your updates daily, and we continue to participate in the many Zoom and WebEx and conferences and meetings with CEM and HRA and Borough Hall, et cetera, and that then informs what we put up on our website. I've been in touch with colleagues regarding the budget process, which has been, changed drastically. So we're talking about a different approach to budget consultations in the fall. And this extreme shift in revenues has affected our board. We were Office of Management and Budget helped themselves to $4,000 out of our current budget and gave us a heads up that in the next fiscal year they'll be taking $9,000, and we're working to expend the $42,500 that City Council provided to us. But it's become a little more challenging since we can't get deliveries so well and have work done in the office, but hopefully we'll have that done by the end of the fiscal year. As many of you know, and Irina's not with us on the meeting tonight, but it has nothing to do with the fact that she's also retiring. And so we only have a few weeks left working with her, and she's trying to train me on some of the tasks that she's taken on. And it just means that Anya and I are preparing ourselves for a little bit heavier lifting over the summer, because I anticipate that hiring somebody is going to confront some challenges. But we will, we'll get it figured out. I know that I've got a terrific board to call on if I need you. So keep your ears open, because I might be doing that. And Ed, that is all. Yeah, that's all I have to report on this evening, and we can move back to you.
John, you have a few hands raised.
Whoever has a hand raised.
Unmute yourself and speak, please.
That's okay. The answer was going to be no anyway.
I have a question. Can you hear me? It's Joe Dweck.
Yeah, I can.
Fiscally, you're saying that they cut our budget? They cut our funding?
Yes. They cut our baseline budget by $4,000 in this current fiscal year and by $9,000 in the upcoming fiscal year.
The retiring of Irina, will that assist us?
That will help us absorb that cut, but will lead us to hire somebody at a more administrative and less functional. I mean, we'll just have to hire somebody who's more of an assistant than a service delivery person, and so it does require a different assignment of duties between me and Anya and then the next person who comes in. But yeah, it does. It will help us absorb the cut.
Are we in any immediate fiscal danger or shortages?
No, in fact, we might have to give money back because the money that was provided by City Council was for OTPS, and we just might not have time to spend it all given our inability to be in the office to receive goods and services. But it won't be a lot. We're not giving back a lot. We put it to good use fairly early on, and that was one of the things I mentioned. Our thanks to Jonathan Judge. Like we quickly entered into a contract to get our website updated, and he was quickly able to deliver it so that it could be done in time to pay him and expend those funds.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Any other board member?
Hi, this is Billy Richling. I just have a quick question about the ULURP application mentioned in the minutes for 1620 Cortelli Road. I know that all land use proceedings are on hold for now, and I assume that the public hearing that would have happened for this falls under that category, but is there anything new we need to know about that project, or is it just on hold for the time being?
Yeah, you're going to hear more about that in the chair's report, but it is on hold. And once the clock does start ticking again, and I'm sorry, Ed, if I'm going to make you just have to repeat this, but I think we'll have 55 days. Not too many days had elapsed before they stop the clock. So we'll still have 55 days to hold a public hearing.
Okay. Any more hands raised?
Hindi? Hindi?
Andy Bendel, did your hand up?
Yes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have it up. Is it still up, or did I put it?
It is up.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
That's up.
Nina?
Okay.
Nina? Sorry, I'm trying to look. Is it supposed to say raise hand or lower hand when my hand is down?
When it's down, it should say raise hand.
Oh.
There you go. Shahid?
I'm here.
Right, your hand is raised?
No, this is just, I want to mention that I'm present in the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Shahid.
Well,
okay, if there are no more hands raised, we'll move on to the chair's report. Consists of two parts, mainly. Well, the first part is the main land use item that we are watching is the 1620 Cortelli Road application. Billy, you alluded to that. Assuming it moves forward once the clock starts ticking again, we will have, as Sean mentioned, about 55 days to make a recommendation, and we will hold a public hearing within that time. Second item on the chair's report is Committee of the Whole. The board's practice with respect to meetings and public hearings on issues or actions which may require a vote during the summer months is to hold these items over to September. The board will convene virtually should there be an item that requires a vote, in which case it is recommended that the board vote on a resolution empowering a committee of the whole to take action on behalf of the full board. This enables the board to satisfy its quorum requirement during the summer months. This motion is being enacted 1 month earlier than usual as per the city's and state's social distancing, I'll get that right, guidelines, and prepares the board for the challenges of meeting quorum requirements prior to being able to assemble. And that concludes the chair's report. And at this time, I'll move on to our guests.
Ed, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you would need a motion for us to ask the Committee of the Whole.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt the motion as you just stated to appoint the board. It's Colin Yeager. How are you? To appoint the board to serve as a committee of the whole to act during the months, during the period of time when the board can't meet in full.
This is Joe Dweck. I second that motion.
Okay, so this requires a vote, and we'll use the same procedure. Those in favor, first of all, is there any discussion? Is there any discussion for board members?
It's Joe Dweck, and I assume, and I guess the question's for you as well as for Cal, is that Obviously, if there is a committee of the whole that needs to be convened, it would be done remotely, I trust.
It would be
okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, it would be, if I may answer, it would be in consistent with the current executive order of the governor. So for as long as he is permitting under state law for boards and councils and legislatures and the like to meet electronically and to cast votes electronically, it would be done accordingly.
Thank you, Councilmember Yeager. Much appreciated. Any further discussion? Then we'll move at this time. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm on the phone.
Are there any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. So, at this time, we're on to announcements from elected officials, starting our council member, Councilman Yeager.
Chair, I see that our assembly member was logged in, and I would happily yield to her. She is senior to me, only in position.
Only in position.
But it's good to see her, and we haven't seen each other in a while. So if Rodney's wants to go first, I would happily yield to her.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Councilmember Yeager.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very excited to see everybody. So I'm starting with you. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm so excited to see you and everybody else. I just want to know if everybody hear me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So first I want to say good afternoon, everyone. Happy virtual meeting. It's a pleasure to be here amongst friends and neighbors of Community Board 14. Certainly I want to thank our president, Ed Powell, our district manager, Sean Campbell, and the whole board. The executive board, thank you so much for your hard work. Thank you for keeping all of us informed and serving our constituents during this pandemic. It's been trying for many of us, and many of us I know have lost someone we know that's close to us, or someone else who may be close to them, but we're staying strong. I first want to thank all of you for your support. We, in the state level, have been in session, in conference, remotely. We actually went to Albany right before the shutdown to pass on the budget, and we did. And, there's been some cuts, but the whole focus has been around making sure that our hospitals, our essential workers, the operation of the state and city government are in full effect, and just a lot of work to do. So we're going to resume session, I believe, sometime next week. That will be made public. I know the city council has been full force ahead of us, and so I want to thank them for continuing the duties of the people in the city remotely. So to you, Carmen Yeager, to you, Farrah Lewis, thank you. I don't know if we have any more city council members. Thank you for your work, because we look to you as well to serve as a model. I have been sending out newsletters. I don't know if everybody have been receiving them. Some people are maybe tired of them. Some people are saying, hey, continue, bring them on. But our office has been working diligently with the city, with the mayor's office, with the governor's office, and with in the federal office to make sure that we get every information on a daily basis to you, whether it's news regarding shutdown or reopening, testing centers, whatever it may be, food banking, school, whatever it is, we try to make sure that we continue. So we don't typically send COVID updates every day, but for updates in general every day, but for this particular situation, we're sending every day. So please be patient with us. Hopefully, God willing, once this dies, you won't be getting information from us on a daily basis like that. In the past, we've held a number of conferences, and I want to thank Community Board 14 for participating. We had 2 constituency information conference calls. We had one in March. We had one in February dealing with social services, stimulus package, unemployment. We recently, and we had partnered with Councilmember Farrah Lewis, partnered with me on that. And we recently had a MWBE, Minority Women Business Enterprise and Small Business Information Conference call. As you know, we were able to get 2 testing sites in our district, the Sears parking lot and the one on 1095 Flatbush. Now they're opening testing sites all over, including schools and places of worship. So if you know your place of worship is interested in opening a testing site, or your educational institution, please let us know. We're opening all over. And we're doing this because, I don't know if some of you saw me on the news, the whole point is to get all of us tested. We do not know much. We're still finding out what this virus is. There's no known real vaccine that we can use. We don't know if we can reinfect. We're looking at antibodies. So there's a whole lot of research that's happening. And so we want to be precautious, but the best thing is for everybody to get tested. And we're not only getting tested for the virus, but we're also testing antibodies. They're also coming out with a new way of testing, so it's not through your nose, but they're also doing the saliva testing, which may be taking the place of the nasal testing. Unemployment has been the single most inquiry that we've been getting in our office. Just so you know, each of the elected officials are working with the Department of Labor, and we have a specific portal in a specific form that our offices are working with individuals who call in terms of their unemployment. The Department of Labor had opened up a new online portal for anybody, labor.ny.gov, and you're supposed to get a response within 72 hours. If you don't get a response within 72 hours, definitely call us. We have a specific portal that's assigned to us where the governor's folks and the Department of Labor are literally looking at our requests, the people who have been having trouble, and we fill out a form on behalf of that constituent. My office and many offices are servicing people outside our district boundaries. So, it is what it is. We're helping everybody. But one of the sensitive information that we need to get from people are their full 9-digit Social Security number. Many people are very uncomfortable with that. Some people share that with us. We do not retain it anywhere. We don't store it. We just keep the last 4 digit. We have spoken to the Department of Labor in terms of putting in an algorithm that will not require the 9-digit, where you can use your mapping your date of birth and some other a way of identifying you as a unique person. So we are working diligently in making sure that this online tool is very safe and secure. But for now, it is mandated that you give us the 9-digit Social Security. In terms of food pantries, as you know, we have been working 2 different tracks with the governor and with the mayor in terms of getting a lot of our nonprofit organizations pantryed up and our churches pantryed up. We're going through a process because there's been a void in the Flatbush area where we don't have many pantries. I certainly want to thank Copo and Payo for their services because they were able to expand to help many people on the other side of Flatbush with food. We certainly want to thank them for that, and we want to thank them for introducing halal in the schools for grab and go. We also want to thank Dovey Zeitlin, who actually introduced a kosher before the schools did. And so we're working very closely with him. And I want to thank him personally because it was a model and it was something that we were asking for. We're asking for kosher for a very long time. And he was doing it before. But I'm happy the city responded. So we have kosher. And I know Carmen Yeager, Councilmember Yeager, Councilmember Deutsch, our Senator Simcha Felder, as well as Assemblymember Simcha Eichenstein. The four of them had partnered and really fought hard to make sure that we had kosher. So I'm very, very happy that our partners have been able to produce that. We all should be included. Everybody should be eating. And the grab and goes in all of our schools and institutions are open to both children and families. If you are quarantined, there is a special number. You can call 311, and the Wheels on Meals program is aligned to help the people with quarantine. We also want to let you know that we are on pause till May 28th. And the state government will continue to enforce until June 13th. We have been partnering with our local elected officials to be distributing masks. This coming Saturday, we will be distributing masks in Little Haiti. It's open to everybody by St. Jerome's from 12 to 2. And that will be Saturday, May 23rd. However, and I'm partnering with Councilmember Farrah Lewis, who did an excellent job. She will tell you what she did with Assemblymember Helene Weinstein, and she's also worked with Kevin Parker. So we actually copied what she did, and she offered to help us do the same thing over in Little Haiti, who part of Flatbush has not been getting anything. So just want to let you know that we are here for you. Any information you need, please call my office at 718-940-0428. Again, 718-940-0428. As the new Brooklyn Democratic County leader, I'm no longer serving only a 42nd Assembly District. I'm serving the entire Brooklyn. So I get calls from everyone, and my office, my 3-person staff is serving all of Brooklyn. But I want to thank you for your support, Community Board 14, and stay vigilant and stay safe. Thank you, Councilmember Yeager, for yielding. And President Ed Powell, thank you for allowing me to speak. And District Manager Sean Campbell, thank you. I guess I can take the mic, the virtual mic, and yield it over to my council member, my friend, Carmen Yeager.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. With your permission.
Please.
Okay, thank you. I'm formal with the board. I like to be recognized. I value your work. First, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Assemblywoman Rashad, you've been incredible. Thank you. I want to start, obviously it's been said, but Sean, her team, the community board has been incredible. I could not have asked for, it's not a secret on board 14. I'm a little partial of my 4 boards. Board 14 is my favorite. I say that often. I live in 14. I was a member of 14 for 18 years. My other boards are just as important, but this is my home. And Sean and her team have been incredible, as have all my boards. But I'm seeing it in person, and I'm seeing the work that they're doing to keep us moving and to keep our services happening in a real way. I also want to thank very much my partners at the City Council, Councilmember Lewis, Councilman Deutsch, Councilman Eugene, our former colleague here on the board. They have been incredible advocates at City Hall under very trying times, really to fight for what we need back in our neighborhoods. As Rodney's, Assemblywoman Bishop mentioned, the food program was incredibly important to Farah, to myself, to Chaim, to Matthew, to really work to bring it into our neighborhood, not just for kosher, but for halal, and to make sure that every kid who needs a meal is able to get their hands on one. No shame, no questions asked. Go to your school and get a meal. And, you know, it's trying times and people need that a little extra help. And we're trying hard to give them what we can. I'm not going to give an update on the Department of Labor. I think every elected official in this meeting has their own horror stories. But as Assemblywoman Bishop said, the Department of Labor has sort of stepped on the gas a little bit, and they're giving us some extra tools over the last couple of days and weeks to help us get help for people who have applied, who need to apply, who are trying to get answers. So I will tell you the worst possible answer that anybody can ever give in my line of business: please be patient. But don't hesitate to call any of us. Whether you call your city representative, your state representative, call whoever you want, but call one of us if you're having a problem so we can queue you up in the system to make sure somebody's taking a look at your case. Don't have to call all of us. Just call one of us so that somebody's doing it. But we all have access to the same tool, and we're using it to try to get people straight answers on where their cases are. And some things are just really simple. I had a case today that's been pending for literally 2 months, and all the gentleman needed to do was get a piece of paper into them. They just hadn't called and asked for it. So he didn't do it, and we got the answer and we got it done. So if you're having this, if you know anybody who's having this, if somebody calls you up and says that they're having this problem, just please refer them to one of our offices or send them over to the community board, and the community board will get you a number of somebody, one of us, to call. Our state reps, obviously, Assemblywoman Bishop mentioned everybody. I am very grateful for my partners and my leaders in the state assembly and the state senate. Senator Felder, Assemblyman Eichenstein have been incredible. Steve Simbrowitz, I see Bobby Carroll's here. Simcha, my team of Simchas have really worked hard together with Rodney's, together with Farah, Chaim, to keep Flatbush Midwood, really strong, and to keep trying to do the things we're doing to just sort of maintain some semblance of normalcy. One semblance of normalcy that I can report is that the street cleaners from ACE that, I fund through the council, I know Farah does as well, I think Chaim does as well, to sweep our commercial streets. They were kind of sent home when the sending home happened. And they were still getting paid, they were getting taken care of, but they weren't out there doing the street cleaning, as businesses were closed. It kind of, maybe it wasn't necessary, but also they weren't protected. They're doing it now. They started yesterday. They're back out. You'll also see them on the routes that we fund. They're disinfecting the bus stops, and they're using the same disinfectant, the heavy duty stuff that the subway system is using. I'm not telling you to get on the bus. I'm not telling you to get on the subway, but I'm just telling you that they are trying to do some of the things to try to bring us back to some semblance of normalcy. I just also want to make sure that it gets mentioned. It'll surely be mentioned again over time, but there is a primary on June 23rd. It is still happening. It's unclear as it stands right now. There is also a presidential primary. Not sure if that's going to last. There was a very bad court decision that made us hold a presidential primary, even though there's actually nobody running in the Democratic primary, but we have to have it anyway. But even if we don't, we still have state and local races. We have members of our community, people who we support, people who we don't support. Doesn't matter. You have to show up to vote. People are looking whether or not we're going to come to vote. But you don't actually have to physically show up. The governor allowed people to vote by absentee, whether or not you want to go. You don't have to go if you don't want to go. It's the easiest thing to do. Go online to www.nycabsentee.com. request an absentee ballot. They'll send one out to you. The Board of Elections created a great tool. It's easy to do. Do it tonight after we hang up. They'll get the ballot to you. You don't have to vote it right away. If you want to hang on to it, if you want to think about it, but at least get the application in to give yourself the ability to make that choice later on. I really have nothing more to say. I see my council colleague is here, and she's going to tell you all the things that I missed, which are probably plenty. But it's really good to see you, Farah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I see that Assemblymember has also joined us. Assemblymember Carroll, would you like to address us?
Yes, thank you so much, Ed, and good evening, Community Board 14. It is wonderful to see all of you via the internet. Hopefully, we will all be able to see each other sooner rather than later when we get through this terrible pandemic. Just want to highlight a couple of quick things and just some thank yous. Community Board 14, some of its members, some of your members have just done such extraordinary work in this trying time. And I want to highlight some of the great organizations along Coney Island Avenue, COPO and Mo Rosby, Peo, Pays, Baza Ruhi, Wakil, and Kashif Hussein have all been working tirelessly to help feed some of our neediest community members who've been impacted by COVID-19. And I was glad, and Notion Ali, and I was glad to go out and help all of them distribute food to families in need. So thank you all, and to all the other people who I missed who have been, lending their time and giving to those most in need. Thank you. And obviously to all of our first responders, frontline workers, thank you so much. Let me just echo a couple of quick things that I heard the Assembly member and the City Council member mention. Department of Labor issues, they're massive. There is a massive backlog. Please feel free to reach out to my office. My legislative aides have been so helpful. Mary Kay, Victoria Gunzinger, Dan Campanelli, in assisting folks with the Department of Labor. But like Councilman Yeager said, unfortunately, you will have to be patient. The backlog is long and it continues. Another very, very important thing, the state legislature is likely to go back into session next week. We have a conference on Friday. One of the things we will hopefully be discussing is a bill of mine that would require insurance companies to pay business interruption insurance due to COVID-19. Currently, they're denying it. This is so essential for so many small businesses in New York. So please pay attention to what's going on in the state legislature over the next 2 weeks. I do believe we're going to be passing legislation that impacts small businesses, tenants, homeowners. And it's going to be so important that we get this right because we're not going to get a lot of bites at this apple. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about that. I would love to talk to you about that because it is so important that once it is safe to start resuming some normal activity to protect our tenants, our small businesses, our homeowners, so that we can get people back on their feet once we've beaten this virus. I don't want to go on any longer. It's great to see all of you virtually. I hope to see all of you in the flesh sooner rather than later. Feel free to reach out to my office, 718-788-7221, 718-788-7221, or email me at carolr@nyassembly.gov if you have any questions. Thank you so much, Ed.
Thank you, Assemblymember Carroll. Councilmember Farah Lewis.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody's well, and just share my heartfelt condolences with all of those impacted and affected by COVID. Hope to see you all soon and meet physically. I'm happy to see my colleagues here, Assembly members Carol, Bishot, Carmen Yeager. I'm not sure who else is on. But Carmen, I just wanted to say thank you for all your hard work in the council. You were on the budget hearing for a very long time today. So thank you for advocating for the people of New York City. I also want to thank Sean Campbell, President Powell, and the entire board for keeping up and having this meeting. I worked really hard to ask the mayor's office to provide a WebEx license to all the community boards in our district in order for us to meet. Because while we all are distant, we can still be connected, and this is the way to do it. So I'm grateful that we have the capacity to provide this service and continue to keep up the good work that we do in our community. Some of the things that we've been working on in my office and collectively with all of my colleagues, it's been a three-pronged process for me, and it's been providing food access, clinical support, and small business service. As my colleagues mentioned earlier, we have grab and goes at all of our schools in our districts and the surrounding district of the 40. We've also expanded our food pantry access. The mayor designated $25 million towards that. And that's been really helpful to some of the faith-based institutions in our district where they're able to provide food to our seniors and anyone that needs it. And for clinical support, I'm really proud to say that we have a second location that Sean mentioned earlier on Coney Island Avenue. We advocated at the onset of the pandemic for testing, and it was really hard to get, but I'm happy that the administration responded, and now we have that as a resource for folks to get tested. So please utilize it and share the information. I think Sean has a flyer, and our office will be circulating it as well so that folks know you can go get tested for free. And for small business support, a lot of our small businesses, some of them didn't even know how to fill out the loan application. So we were able to partner with a woman named Maya Whaley. She started an initiative called Flatbush Thrives, where we were able to get volunteers to help folks fill out applications for their small businesses so that they could receive funds from the federal government. So that work continues until we get back to whatever normal will be. But I'm just grateful that all of you took the time to meet tonight. And feel free to call my office if you need anything. While we're closed, we're working remotely. Our office number is 718-629-2900. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but just remotely. And thank you all, and please be safe.
Thank you, Councilmember Lewis. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We also have with us the district leader of the 42nd Assembly District, Josh Pierre. Josh, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Chairman Powell. Good evening, CB14, District Leader Josh Pierre here. I hope everyone's been coping well and your family members are safe. But as the Greater Flatbush area and Community Board 14 residents continue to deal with the fallout of the COVID-19 crisis, I think it's critically important that we pay close attention to the budgetary impacts on neighborhoods like Kensington and Flatbush. So while fiscal discipline is very important, the proposed budget right now disproportionately harms neighborhoods like ours in the area. And I'm going to point out two of the hard facts. There are about $231 million in proposed cuts to the education budget, of which there's $100 million that comes out of the Fair Schools Funding Program. And what that program does is it's a source of funds for schools, and it takes a needs-based approach to education funding. So for instance, schools receive more funding per student if they have students that have English as a second language. And it basically makes the funding system more equitable. So here's the issue. When you look at the communities that do live within CB14, you have kids who speak Urdu, kids who speak Haitian Creole and Spanish who benefit from that funding. Now, when that funding disappears, it doesn't mean those programs necessarily go away. It just means that more is pulled from the greater pot and it's divvied out amongst more students. So that's one factor that affects us in the budget. The other factor, among many, is the $80 million in cuts to sanitation. In my entire time of going to block association meetings, community board meetings, and any type of civic meeting, I've yet to hear anybody say, oh, we've had too much garbage pickup. The streets are too clean. it's quite the opposite. People constantly complain that there's not enough garbage pickup. They don't want to deal with the alternate side of the street parking, but they sure want the streets to be clean, right? So I see commercial corridors like ours along Nostrand Avenue, Flatbush Avenue, Cortelli Road being negatively impacted by some of these cuts. And so we have to also consider what are the long-term ramifications for small businesses along our corridors, such as Cortelli Road. So those are just two cuts that I wanted to point out. I don't believe that these types of austerity measures should be taken in such a way that the budget is balanced on the backs of the neediest communities. And I think that type of action hurts Flatbush, it hurts Ditmas Park, it hurts Kensington, and it shouldn't be. I think it contradicts our values as a community to have budget cuts balanced on the back of communities like working class communities in Flatbush. So I did recently write an op-ed that lists out some of the other issues, especially with regards to housing and how those cuts will impact that. You can look it up on the BK Reader, and the title of the op-ed is "What Proposed Budget Cuts Mean for Flatbush and the 40th Council District." I would encourage you to read that. And secondly, there are also an absolute cut to the SYEP program, which is the Summer Youth Employment Program. And the last thing, we want our students, our kids to be safe. We want our youth to be safe during this process. But let's be clear, remote learning and remote work will now become part of our future economy. And if there are people currently able to do remote work, then it stands to reason that there's possibly be jobs for youth that can do remote work. And so our first step is to ensure that there is actually funds in the budget for that. And the second step would be to look for opportunities for them over the summer. And I want you to keep in mind that for me growing up and other working class kids in Flatbush, the opportunity to have that summer youth paycheck was not just to remove a burden and put more money in my pocket. It actually helped me fund the household finances for my working class family. So I strongly encourage you guys to consider the budgetary impacts. I know we're going through these health crises, but it's forward-thinking community work that allows us to maintain the quality of life as we go into what's going to be a very rough budgetary situation when it comes to the city and the state. So I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak on this. I encourage you to read up on those op-eds and stay informed, stay safe, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Are there any other elected officials on line right now?
That was everybody who had pre-registered from an elected official's office, so I believe that we've covered them and can move on to the topical committee reports if you want to direct it there.
Thank you, Sean. The first of which...
Yeah. And something came to mind I wanted to ask Cal and Farah concerning if, in case there is a opening up of restaurants, I am anticipating that restaurants are going to want to have more cafe seating or on the sidewalks. And with that, can they keep that in mind for any proposed opening of restaurants? Because that'll create more space for them.
Yeah, I mean, I can take that. Let me just shut the background noise. The council just passed a law a few days ago to allow any business that has an existing sidewalk cafe license to get their money back for this year, under the theory that it's really not fair to ask them to pay for something that they're not getting. In our district, we don't really have we haven't had a clamoring for outdoor cafe licenses. We have some, we don't have a lot. If stores want to avail themselves of outdoor cafe licenses, it's an easy process to do. The community board deals with them in-house on a regular basis. And they can start the process if they wish by going to the Department of Consumer Affairs website and getting the information to make an application. But for right now, as long as restaurants are closed, I'm not sure they really want to do that. They have the ability to seat customers is restricted inside and outside for now.
Cal, it's Joe again. What I'm anticipating is if they if the mandate is, let's say, 25 or 50% capacity, they're going to need.
Joe, you muted yourself. They're going to need what? Did it again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm sorry. The thought was that in case we go to 25 or 50% occupancy, they're going to need that extra space, and obviously they might not even know that they need
Right. So I agree. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, if a store wants to, if a restaurant wants to have outdoor seating, there are some places that it works. There are some places that it doesn't. So, for example, you can't do it on Coney Island Avenue between J and K. It's just no place. But if on Cortelia Road or if on Avenue M, if Avenue J, if it works and there's room to put 2 or 3 tables outside, it's something that they want to consider. They can ask through the application process. And obviously, we would advocate, I think, without making a broad rule, but on a case-by-case basis, I think that the community board would look at these applications in a different light, as long as it is not dangerous to public safety and to traveling on the sidewalk and to things like that. Can't block the sidewalk from access. We would try to do that, but very few restaurants have the kind of frontage in front of their store that they could put more than 2 tables, let's say.
Just as something to back in the
Joe, we will work with our council members when the time comes and when the time is appropriate. Right now, the time is appropriate to move to topical committee reports.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. I was just a back of the mind type thing, because things happen very quickly here regarding this, obviously, and I wanted them to be aware. The other thing was that for the summer youth programs, one of the big things is counselors, summer counselors, and those are not being funded. Because because there's not going to be any camps.
Is that a question?
The city is not funding any counselor programs, so there's not going to be any summer camps.
Well, I don't think those two necessarily go hand in hand. Summer camps are going to be a decision that the governor makes based on whether or not he allows camps to open. The city funding summer counselors for camps is not necessarily hand in hand with camps opening. Camps that open hire counselors. Whether or not they receive a subsidy from the city to pay for that is what's really up in the air right now with the summer youth employment program that the council members, at least who represent this board, are fighting hard to get the administration to agree to fund. But I'm a straight shooter, Joe, and I'm not going to lie, it's not looking good.
Excuse me, gentlemen, I'm going to have to ask that you guys continue this offline. We got to move on with the agenda, if you don't mind. Next up is our topical committee reports, beginning with youth services. Is Jonathan Judge on the line?
I am here, Mr. Mayor, and I'm going to do something that I've wanted to do for a very long time, which is do a little multimedia if it'll let me present.
Wow.
But if you let me know, you see my screen. I'm not sure if it came through yet.
Looks good, John.
Good, cool. Firstly, I want to say I'm very glad to see and hear a lot of you. We are not having this regular routine of community board meetings, so I'm glad to see those of you who are doing well, who are here. I look forward to celebrating when this is over, and also mourning with those of you who have lost ones and loved ones and have not been able to get the support and love from the community the way you would have liked to. So my condolences in those cases. We which of course you know is our 13th annual youth conference, which we had back in March. We have as co-chair, and also co-chair Dwayne Joseph, who is also on the call with us right now. So we were very excited to have had the 13th annual youth conference go on right before everyone made the decision to cancel large gatherings. So these are just a couple of pictures here of what the event looked like. So just as a quick recap, it happened on Wednesday, March 11th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Brooklyn College Student Center. where we had almost 600 attendees register, and that includes teens and students between the ages of 14 and 21, along with their parents and guardians. We had over 80 businesses, agencies, and organizations register as well to provide jobs, internships, and other opportunities for young people. We also had a number of volunteers who conducted mock interviews through the Young BK Professionals Committee of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. And we had over 70 teens, believe it or not, were able to get these mock interviews. While nothing was shut down officially, as we know, we did remind everyone with posters that you should, don't shake hands, do an elbow bump if you're going to greet someone. Wash your hands because we were still trying to be mindful, although at that time there wasn't a requirement to maintain strict social distancing. What we also want to do is we want to thank a number of people. I mean, really, if you think about it, with everything that was going on, with the registrations we had, obviously the number of people who turned out was a little bit less than we had expected because of the concern regarding coronavirus. However, as you can see, we had a tremendous turnout still. So that means that many young people were able to find those opportunities we're looking for. And surely, even if some of them don't pan out for this year because of the pandemic, those are connections and relationships that can be capitalized later on throughout the year once things get to return to some kind of normal. And as people suggested, those opportunities might become opportunities. So we want to thank, of course, the Brooklyn College Student Center for hosting us, the Flatbush Food Co-op for providing the chips and the apples that nourish everybody, including a lot of the mock interviewers and the organization reps that come to sustain them for the 3 hours of intense ongoing conversation with all of our young people. I want to thank a number of our board members, Ann Godet, Gail Smith, Joanne Brown, of course, the co-chairs of the Youth Services Committee, Drain and myself, Mansour Hussain, Chair Ed Powell, Carl Henry Caesar, Dawn Marie Walker, Nikki Levinson Angulo, Ed Sen. They were really integral in making sure that this event happened and helped us roll with the punches in a lot of the changes that we would have to do throughout the months leading up to update everyone about what organizations were coming and what the game plan was for the event. I want to thank, of course, the Young BK Professionals of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce for spearheading our mock interview portion. And I would like to thank our volunteers, Jimmy Hands, Sophie Halter, Ashley Theogene, Shannon Logan, Joel Acevedo, Danielle Mowry, Jofrane Lagonde, and I'm so glad that Councilmember Farrah Lewis is with us because we want to thank her because she just came to check it out, and we had a couple of dropouts for the mock interviews, and she decided, like a real pro, to jump in. And here's a picture of her sitting with some of the teens performing the mock interview session with a couple of young people, along with all the other young people that were doing it. So I really want to thank you for coming in and stepping in last minute like that for us. That was very encouraging for all of us.
Jonathan, this is Dwayne. If I could just quickly interject on that point as well. Very, very special thank you to Councilmember Lewis, because we asked her just to do 1 or 2 interviews, and she actually stayed for almost an hour and a half. And the kids, the feedback from the kids and their parents was tremendous. So very, very special thank you for her for doing that.
Definitely, absolutely. We have just a couple of little business points from March. We were going to have an event for SYEP, for Summer Youth Employment Program, specifically toward businesses and other types of organizations or nonprofits that might provide job opportunities through the program, so that they could learn a little bit more what it looks like from the employer side to participate in the program. We were going to work with Kojo because they have a tremendous experience working with onboarding providers through their contract. That they're one of the main SYEP clearinghouses, and so they were going to do a presentation, of course, because of all the changes due to the pandemic. We had to cancel that. Of course, at some point in the future, we hope to reschedule that for future potential employers who would love to give all these new people that came to our conference, in spite of everything, the opportunities that they were looking for their future. So, Dwayne, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add while we're at it.
No, I mean, I just want to, echo your condolences to everyone that lost family members, loved ones because of this virus, and to those that fell ill, that you're recovering. I hope you're healthy. Hope you're well, and your family's well. And we look forward to, at some point having a debrief about the youth conference. There was a lot of good feedback both from the young people and the potential work sites and providers. So we'd love to be able to debrief the community on that at some point in the near future.
I was supposed to go. I forgot to. And just one last thing, of course, before I forget this very important. None of this could have been this was really the district manager, I'm a lawyer, and Irina Lerman, each year that they've put in a tremendous amount of effort and hard work in making this very productive event happen for our community. And though it's a collaborative effort across the board, but really the anchor has been the office. And so I just want to again thank Sean, Anya, and Irina for everything that they do for the conference. Last but by far not least at all. So again, thank you very much. I'll yield it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, John. Next up, Human Services Committee. Joanne, are you with us?
I'm Joanne Brown here. How is everyone? Hi, I'm Joanne Brown, co-chair of the Human Services Committee, speaking on behalf of Baza Ruhi, who is also the co-chair of this committee. I guess I have no report. We were to meet shortly before the epidemic started, and just checking my video. Just before the epidemic sort of took hold, but we did not have that meeting. And so I'm here to talk to you about what I usually talk to you about, which is the census. And I have some slides. I don't see my video up yet. And when it comes up, I'll show you my slides. But let me just give you a couple of details. It's been 68 days since the census began mailing out their unique ID numbers to residents of the United States so that they can begin the process of answering the survey. She speaks all the time. Since then, Kings County, as today, according to the Hard to Count map, has only had a response rate of 46.6%. That's versus last year's 2010's response rate of 57.2. That was the final self-response rate. Currently, the average response rate in the United States is 59.6%. So we're not doing so well. Again, I still don't see my video, but if there's something, here's my slides, because they're on paper, and I'm not as technical as Jonathan. So yeah, 46.6% in Kings County. My video's on.
We can see you, so we can see you if you want to try to share your screen.
No, I don't have a screen to share, but I have paper. These are my low-budget slides. So there you go, Kings County self-response rate versus the U.S., so we need to do better. So there's a couple of areas within the district that could really use some outreach and some attention. Let's start with Flatbush. So this upper portion of Flatbush, close to where I am, bordering Flatbush Avenue, all the way down to Tilden, and we have Church Avenue down, really needs some help, right? So if you have friends, neighbors, family that you could just really push that word, right now, the response rate's only between 30 and 40%, okay? So we need some help there. Next, my next slide. We have this other part of Flatbush, at the top, Clarendon Road, all the way down close to Newkirk, along Flatbush Avenue in Bedford. This also a very poor response rate from the self-report response rate, 30 to 40%. So if you have family, if you have friends, whatever you can do to start spreading the word, we've got to get the numbers up. This is like 36% in this area. And then lastly, a little bit better, just at the upper border of Midwood, between Midwood and Flatbush, We're doing a little bit better, 40 to 50%. This is better than the two other areas, but we could really use some attention, some outreach, our nonprofits, our friends, our families, our neighbors, however we can connect at this time when we're a little bit disconnected in person, and all of the interventions that were planned by our nonprofits were completely, these in-person meetings just can't happen. So the good news is that the Bureau has extended the self-response time to October 31st. Okay, so this gives us a lot more time to do outreach. Let's really take advantage of that. We need every day that we can get. And that's about it from my report. I just want to bring this back around and say that 10 minutes, 10 questions, 10 years. I really hope that we don't meet another organism like SARS-CoV-2 in the next 10 years, but our ability to handle another pandemic is going to rely on census data that is collected and the money that we are allocated. So it is very important going forward that we try to do whatever we can to get our numbers up. Again, we're only at 46.6% in Kings County. Anyway, it's good to see everyone. Looking forward to seeing everyone in person. Give it a little fist bump. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanne. Well done. Well done. Community environment.
Oh, Ed?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I had a couple of specific questions regarding the census, if I may.
I'm here, Nina.
Okay.
Yeah. So two questions, I guess. One, I know that there's a way, because and I can't remember, if people don't get the form or can't find it, that they can log in. What is the site that they go to again?
It's 2020census.gov. 2020census.gov.gov. So you'll log on there, and there'll be a link that says, I don't have an ID number. And you can follow that and look up your address and fill out the census. If you have problems that way, you can call the telephone number. The U.S. Census website is very easy to navigate. It's very clear and gives you at least the two immediate options to fill out the census. The third, less immediate option is to have a survey sent to you.
Okay. And the other question that I had, or thought that I had, was, is there some way maybe that we could use the testing sites to put up some notices or something to remind people to do the census?
I think it's a great idea. I think we could leverage so many opportunities now, to in a distance fashion to remind people to fill out the census. I think to coordinate the testing sites would definitely would help if our council members and our assembly members could maybe get some of that material over there, or pave the way to get material to those sites. So I think that's a great idea. I also think, especially for this first area that I was talking about between Tilden and Flatbush and a little bit lower down by Clarendon, maybe we can ask the King's Theater to change their marquee for a little bit. Instead of saying, we'll see you soon, remind everyone that they have the census to fill out, they have the time. 10 years, 10 minutes, 10 questions, 10 years. So lots of ideas. And I think we still need to be talking about how we can do this, but do this in a way that conforms to our social distancing.
Okay. So if you want to get back to me, like back channel, I could help maybe with a little bit of that.
Okay. Thanks, Nina.
Okay. Thank you.
Fantastic. Is there a report for community environment?
Hi, I guess I'm it. Put on my video. Hi. We have not had anything, of course, because everything has, of course, been on hold. The only thing I want to say, which kind of gets back to some of the other issues that were brought up, is, and I see it, I guess, more easily because I ride my bicycle. I'm seeing a lot more broken glass on the street. I'm seeing a lot of dirty gloves and masks, and I'm seeing a lot of dead rats. So we definitely have some sanitation issues going on in the community.
Okay.
Ed, it's Sean. I just want to chime in and just remind everybody, especially board members, to bring specific locations to our attention in real time so we can get the appropriate agency out there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sean. Education, libraries, and cultural affairs.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Public safety. Either of the co-chairs with us? So I guess I can just assume there is no report. So then that moves us then to our public hearings. Wait,
you forgot about transportation. We're moving again.
Sorry, that's my fault. I forgot it on the agenda that I've got. Transportation.
Oh, it's actually, it didn't print out. It was like long paper. It didn't print out at the bottom there. But anyway, I don't have a report, but I do want to mention three things. One, completely unrelated to transportation. The census is very easy to do online. People need to know that. There's a lot of bugaboo, but it boils down. It's very easy, except when you get to the race questions. It's very easy. People need to know that.
Yeah.
And the community environment, I too finding a lot of debris around, and if the people in your community can be encouraged, go out there with a glove, pick up stuff, on the strip between your house or your apartment building, and it makes a very difficult and frankly depressing time even more depressing, when you see stuff like that. So people, in my opinion, should be encouraging their neighbors to clean up. But as far as transportation, the city is rushing to close down streets to create walkways, and I guess on some theory that's a nice thing, but there's been some mix-up between DOT and the police about Newkirk Avenue that caused some inconvenience. And this is not out in our district, but they closed off a big length of Prospect Park West, which struck me as completely ridiculous, because why do people need an outdoor walkway there when it's adjacent to a very wide sidewalk where people walk, and adjacent to
So we're going to stick to CB14 tonight and to your committee.
But the point of the matter is the transportation, they're sort of doing this without community input, and so perhaps we need to contact them and do something about that.
Okay, Joel, thanks for mentioning that. Just before we move to the public session, there's just one thing I wanted to mention while we're all here, and that is the passing of Ben Shafer. I don't know if everyone knew Ben. He was just a great friend of all of Flatbush, Midwood, the entire community board district. Ben was the treasurer of the 70th Precinct Community Council. He served for quite some time as an auxiliary police officer at the 70 Precinct, and he was very much involved in political life. And most of all, Ben was my friend. So I just wanted to mention that in passing. He passed. He had the virus, the COVID-19 virus, and he passed just a short time ago. So, having said that, we can move on to the public session. And I'll call the public session to order at
Did we lose? Did we lose Ed?
He still shows is here. And he's not muted.
Just to keep it moving, and Ed can just jump in.
Sean, why doesn't the vice chair ask the public session to begin and call the first speaker?
So Gail L. Smith, the first vice chair, is actually going to read all of the public session announcements into the record. And so, Gail, if you just want to go ahead and I'll note the time is 6:55 p.m. And you can go ahead with the announcements that you received prior to 12 noon today.
Okay. Good evening. I hope everyone is well and safe during these very difficult and stressful times. I have 5 announcements to make on behalf of elected officials, nonprofit organizations, and constituencies. So please just bear with me. Most of them are within reason. Some of them are a little lengthy. The first one is from Congresswoman Yvette Clark of the 9th Congressional District. And I will be saying this verbatim since she has a lot of things here. Thank you for keeping up the good fight against the pandemic. Your sacrifices bring our community one step closer to renewal each day. On Friday night, we passed the HEROES Act in the House of Representatives, a bill that provides crucial relief and support for frontline workers who work tirelessly each day while most of us remain sheltered at home to keep our city moving forward. While this legislation doesn't provide all that I believe is required to truly heal our nation, including greater provisions for affordable housing and immigrant protections, I voted to support our essential workers, provide relief to those who are suffering, and put our nation on the road to recovery. As many know by now, our beloved Kings County has the devastating distinction of having more deaths due to COVID-19 than other counties in the United States, with a death toll exceeding that of 46 entire states. It was important for me to support this bill that pushes us toward healing our community and this nation. Among many things, the HEROES Act will establish a $200 billion HEROES Fund to ensure hazard pay for essential workers, provide nearly $1 trillion in much-needed support for state and local governments, generate a second round of direct relief payments to families and individuals, commit another $75 billion for the testing, tracing, and treatment of COVID-19, support small businesses by strengthening the payroll protection program. I'm especially proud of Team Clark, my staff, who continue to assist me in delivering thousands of packages of food and PPE to constituents throughout the district. Please contact my team with any concerns at 718-287-1142 during business hours. Thank you for your continued commitment to keeping our community safe as we practice social distancing to flatten this curve together. The next announcement is from Comptroller Stringer. Comptroller Scott Stringer has assembled a COVID resource guide. It can be found on our CB14 website, and we thank our liaison from the Comptroller's office, Pincus Hyken, for forwarding it to the office. The next one is from Tyrone McDonald of the Neighborhood Housing Services. While Neighborhood Housing Services of Brooklyn offices are closed for in-person visits, The staff is working remotely from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday to answer any housing-related questions. If a homeowner or tenant has lost income due to COVID-19 and don't know how they will pay their next mortgage or rent, our counselors will be there to guide you on how to best stay in your home and the resources available. Our number is 718-469-4679. Website, nhsbrooklyn.org. Be cautious, healthy, and safe. The next one is from Canva Legal Services. Campbell Legal Services provides free anti-eviction legal services to Brooklyn and Staten Island tenants, including legal advice and representation in non-payment proceedings, holdovers, HP actions for repairs, HCR overcharge complaints, administrative hearings, both for NYSHA and HPD, Article 78, and other related proceedings. They attached a flyer which is on the website. Please note that all of our offices are currently being offered remotely by phone or email. We encourage individuals who are facing eviction and are seeking legal assistance to call our hotline 929-491-7317 and or our office number 718-287-0010. CLS consumers, crime victim and foreclosure units are also providing services remotely. Residents who need assistance should call 718-287-0010 and leave a message. Messages will be returned within 1 to 2 business days. And the final one is from two constituents. Our names are Olivia and Jordan, and we have been residents of the Kensington and Flatbush Ditmas Park neighborhoods for 7 years. The COVID-19 crisis, particularly the way that it hurt the small businesses and their employees in our neighborhood, moved us to take action. We have recently founded a nonprofit organization called Brooklyn Donates, aiming to help small businesses across Brooklyn and New York City to survive this crisis. While we encourage donors to donate directly to their favorite local business, we also recognize that not all communities or businesses have equally received government or private funding. By developing a central fund to distribute grants to businesses in need, we are able to ensure equitable distribution of funds and remain especially conscious of the needs of underserved communities as well as minority-led businesses. We encourage any business owners or interested parties to reach out to us by email to get involved. The email address is support@brooklyndonates.org, or to check out our website, brooklyndonates.org. Thank you. And that is the end of the announcements, Mr. Chair.
And if I could just jump in to remind everybody that all of the announcements that Mrs. Smith just made, all of the flyers and the additional information is posted on the website. So if you didn't jot the numbers down fast enough, the resources are there on our website. And not sure that Ed is still here.
Sean, are there people, it's Carmen Yeager, are there people signed up for public section?
That was it.
That was it. I announced it.
Okay.
They had to so our meeting actually is concluded.
If someone wants to move to adjourn, Mrs. Smith is up there, so she can move to adjourn.
I so move to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor? Just call for the all in favor.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye. Mrs. Smith, just asking if anybody's opposed.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Just declare it adjourned. Say it's adjourned.
It's adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
For the record, Senator, thank you very much for hanging in there and for being a part of the team.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Night all.
Night all.
Night all.